Hi there, YouTube family. I hope everything is going well. This is SB Square. It's good to be with you here on this fine last day of March. My apologies for just getting this content up, but I'm actually trying something new. I usually do my content in just one take and just kind of go from there, but today I'm going to be splicing in and trying trying a little bit of experimental editing. I'm going to be putting in some clips of some things that I wanted to demonstrate to you by going into the white box. So I am going to be leaving the grotto in just a moment, going to the light box, and then I will end up coming back to the grotto for a wrap up and our conclusions and any ideas that we have. And I certainly do welcome your input also. So let's leave the grotto and go into the light box or white box. I forget what they call it. And let's see what happens. I apologize in advance. I have not yet gotten used to figuring out how to do the lighting. So there may be some areas where I may be a little overexposed, and there may be some times where I may be a little underexposed. I'm still experimenting with some things, and I know I'm not going to have it completely right, but I did want to get this content out to you. So even if it doesn't look so polished and pretty, then I hope you can look past that and focus on the content. I think you'll find this very interesting and hopefully very useful. So let's get out to the white box or the light. I think it's called light box. Let's get out to the light box and see what happens. This is a demonstration of a figure that has a magnetic foot, or rather a magnet in the sole of the foot, and a metal plate which is used for posing. This figure is a 21-inch ball jointed figure. It's not made out of resin, so it's not what people would traditionally consider a ball jointed doll. However, it's all of its joints are rotate on ball joints, so it is a ball jointed doll. So don't let the detractors tell you otherwise. I'm going to show you a quick picture of what the soles of the feet look like. And here is where you can actually see where the magnets are placed. The reason why I wanted to show you this is because I want to give you a demonstration of why I believe using a metal plate as opposed to an additional magnet in the actual base is a much better option, because it gives you much more surface area to pose, and it gives you a chance to stabilize the figure much better. So here, I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of what happens. I'm going to hold this slightly above it, up, and as you can see, the base jumps right up to it. If you had a magnet, you would need to actually find where the magnet is located, and that was a difficult task. I'm going to get out the base of the Joker by InArt so you can actually see what that looks like. And as you can see, the metal plate really keeps the figure very secure. Also, you can see right here in the ankle joints that there is a screw there that is used with the ball joint that connects the foot to the lower part of the leg. That joint actually gives the ability of the figure to go forward and back. It's a very stable type of joint as opposed to the double ball joint, which is used on the InArt Joker figure. Now, the one thing you have to always concern yourself with these types of figures is gravity, because the reason why I positioned him is I saw that heel was starting to lift up a little bit. That is because as strong as the magnet is and as strong as that metal base is, gravity is still stronger. This figure is actually leaning forward, which means that their center of gravity is not there. Now, this is a strong magnet on a pretty strong metal base. All that being said, gravity is still going to win. If this figure was leaning forward too far, then the strength of gravity is going to pull that figure right off the base. That's just going to happen. So that's the reason why I wanted to show you this. I want to show you how strong the magnet is, and then I also wanted to show you about the ankle joint that is being used on this particular figure. This is actually a figure I've had for about probably over 20 years. It is the Obitsu, I think Obitsu 60, which is a 60 centimeter figure, I believe, that they had years and years ago. And that is what I'm currently using. And as you can see, okay, this metal plate is going to clamp onto that pretty easily, which gives you all of this surface area where you can actually use different leg poses. You can bend, you can do things, and all you need to do is make sure that with the foot placement that you still keep the center of gravity at a point where it's not going to topple the figure forward or backward. Because again, if it falls forward, as you can see, I pulled him forward like as if I were gravity, and it just lifted those heels directly off of the magnet. What I'm about to show you now is the InArt Joker. I am going to first show you on this metal plate that I used with the Obitsu body, okay? Now, you saw that the magnet that I used with Obitsu picked it up very quickly. The magnet right here is actually located in the front of the foot. You can actually see the indentation of the magnet in there. It's difficult to see on camera, but when you're looking directly at the foot, you can see it. It's kind of at the toe. It's right about here on each foot. So I'm going to see if it'll pick it up. Okay, it's not jumping up because the magnet is not strong. However, as you can see, it gets on there and it holds on pretty well. What I believe the problem is, and the difficulty that we've had with the InArt Joker, is not user error. It is an engineering problem in two respects. I think they could make the ankle more stable. Instead of they're using a double ball joint, which I will actually, if I can roll down that sock, I'll show you what it looks like. But they could do a couple of things. They could make the magnet, they could get a stronger magnet, which isn't going to help the base. I think what they should use is get a metal plate very similar to this and use that underneath whatever they're making for the top of their base. Like if they want to make it look like a street corner or a street car, a street, what they can do is actually fabricate in resin or some other material an overlay and put it over the metal plate. Now they'll need to make sure that they have an extremely strong magnet in the foot, because I'm not sure how the distance from the metal plate, whether or not that will have any impact on it. But I'm going to show you a problem with the base in just a moment. But as you can see, this figure is much more stable. I'm able to kind of get it in a pose because, as I said with Obitsu, gravity is still going to be the enemy of your very expensive InArt Joker. If Joker is in a pose which does not allow him to have his center of gravity more upward and downward. If he's leaning back, like you can see that he has a slight backward lean on this one. Now, the only thing that's probably saving him is that he has the heel, which serves as the base, and the toe has the magnet. So he is a little bit stable, but if I were going to pose him like that, I would want to actually move him a little bit more upright so that he doesn't have that backward lean. You certainly do not want to have him leaning forward, because then the only thing that he has any protection for is the magnet at the toe of the heel. And as you can see on this one, the front toe is actually lifted. So if the magnet starts being pulled off, he has nothing that's going to catch him and he will fall over. But the thing I like about this is that it gives you an opportunity to separate the legs a little bit and give him a little bit more of a stable pose without compromising the integrity of the figure. So I think it is my belief that, again, the base is the problem. It is not user error. I think that users are probably working within what they know, but it was a problem with the design and the plan of this. InArt, please, I hope you are listening. Please pay attention to your base. Use a metal plate. Now, let me go get the base out of the box, and I'm going to show you where the magnet is located. All right. I've just gotten the base out, but I also want to show you that once he is stable on this platform, this metal base, look at how strong it is. See, the metal base is staying on there. That's what's keeping him stable in this pose. Now, let's bring the base over. And as you can see, this is like a plastic top right here with the thing. How easy would it be to place a metal plate directly underneath that, or actually maybe adhere the metal base to this plastic and then set it into the base? Now, the presumption is that since this is the front, at least I believe it's the front. Well, no, I think this may be the front, but we're going to search for the magnet. Now, since the Obitsu body has a stronger foot magnet, I'm going to search for the magnet using this figure so we know exactly where it is. And I'll just use 1 foot. Whoops, I just lost an arm on this figure. Let me plug it back in. There we go. Everything's right with the world again. All right, so. There we go. There's a magnet. Looks like it's dead center. But, okay, dead center. And so it looks like the magnet is just about here. There is no magnet here, but once I get to the center, it's here and it's here. That is not very good planning for a base of a 2-pack. This is a 2-pack figure, which I paid for. I got the rooted version, so it was over $1,000 when I include taxes and shipping. So I have a tiny little strip of magnet where I can put this expensive figure to keep it on the base. So basically, here we go. This is a spot for him. Now, actually, he seems like he's fairly stable. I would actually feel okay, but again, it's difficult to pose him except in one static thing. Now you might be able to turn them here or there, but if I try to go out here, the only thing that's protecting him is this one right here. This one has no protection. When I slide it over, now he's a little bit more stable again. Okay? So, once again, we are working with gravity. We need to make sure that the figure is stable, particularly on this. In art, if you are listening, if you happen to catch my stream, please consider, instead of using a magnet, consider using an entire metal plate. I mean, the plate that I demonstrated there was probably no more than 1 millimeter thick. So it's not an extremely thick one, but it actually is one that you can do, that will provide the user or the purchaser of your product. It will give them a lot more ability to pose because they'll be able to use the entire base. Now, as you can see, we have the Batman symbol here. So what you can do, if you don't want to use the front, you just turn them around. Let me find those magnets again. There we go. Here's one. Okay. All right. So if you want, you can turn it around and you can use it on that side. So you still have a little protection. The only thing you still have to make sure of is that you don't let the figure lean too far backward. Now, backward is not going to be as bad because, again, the heel is planted firmly on the base and the magnet is holding that in place. So you have a little bit more stability, but if he's leaning back far enough, and let's see if I can simulate this, since he doesn't have his head sculpt on, I feel a little safe trying this out. So I'm going to lean him back. Okay, you see, he wobbled a little bit. Okay, that means that the magnets are not holding as strongly. The only thing that is holding this guy is the little pull he has on those magnets and the heel. That's the only thing. Now, if he's on a rotating base or something bumps up against the thing, he's not going to be quite as, actually he's kind of sticking in there. So, but he is definitely not as stable, but he's very easy. See, look at there. This toe is completely lifted. He is all on that heel. Now, this other foot has the heel and a little bit more of a magnet protecting it. I'm gonna let him swing around here, but you can see this toe is completely lifted. Now, as we roll around, the only places where he has any stability is on this heel, which is kind of questionable, this heel, which is coming around, and it looks like the pose I put him in, the magnet on this left foot is still holding pretty well. But this is not a good position to have this expensive figure in. You don't want him to fall over. You want him to look cool in the cabinet. You want him to look really cool for posing. So in art, help us out here. Give us a stand that is going to be more stable. Again, give us a stronger magnet and a metal plate. Then that way I can stick him anywhere on that place and pose him. And as long as I keep him fairly stabilized, he will do well. A second advantage of having a metal plate is that for some accessories that you might have, you could actually put a small magnet at the bottom of those and then that way you can put them on the thing and it's going to keep those things stabilized also. So there are advantages all around that for reasons why you may want to consider that. But overall, this in art Joker is a work of art. I am so pleased that I have him, and I'm just completely blown away. The tailoring is impeccable. The small problem I have with the base, I think can be worked out. However, I would just say for all purchasers of this figure, make sure when you pose when you pose this figure, try to make sure that you don't have him in some strange pose that's going to keep him from staying stabilized. He is working on two ankle joints. He has is a double ball joint, which means that it's basically a peg that has a ball joint on both ends. One ball joint goes into the foot, the other ball joint goes into the bottom of the ankle part of the leg. That gives him that ability to kind of have this side to side, forward and back, motion like that. But that's not the most stable position for him. Now, I would be able to utilize that more if there wasn't this one little tiny area where there's a magnet. The metal plate would make it so that I am able to utilize the entire base. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to get this other metal plate and see if I can get a more interesting pose than just a straight up and down. Now, most people, they're going to keep them in the cabinet. They're probably going to be most likely to do that. But look, I have the entire base that I can use here. Okay. All right. So Joker now is leaning forward. He is doing something nefarious. But because he has his entire base to work with, he's still pretty stable. Okay. I wouldn't pose him like that. I mean, that's not a very attractive pose, but I'm doing this as a demonstration to show you what can be done. Now, whenever possible, I try to make sure that the heel is down. However, there may be times that you might want to have his toe off the ground or something like that, like he's making a step forward or something like that. Okay. So he still has the magnetic base. He's still got the toe, which is holding him here, and he also has the heel and the toe that's holding this right foot. So that is still a fairly stable pose. And if there's not a lot of movement or something around him that might topple him, he still will be fairly stable. I can do him on this because he has that entire base. See, I nudged him and he wobbled, but he didn't fall. So he actually has a lot more to work with there. In art, please, if you are listening, use a metal base. Okay. Put a fabric overlay of like the tile or something like that over the top, and do that. That will actually provide way more protection and give us the options that are going to help us enjoy your figures for a very, very long time. Okay. So thank you for looking at my overview of this In Art Joker ankle issue and the figure. I'm not doing a figure review, but a review of the base and the magnets. At some point, when I've had a chance to play with this figure a little bit more, I will talk to you a little bit more about the other magnetic parts, like the connection of the head to the neck, the magnetic hands, the magnetic arm pieces, which are absolutely beautiful, by the way. The sculpted arm, all the way down to the wrist, is absolutely gorgeous. If you have this figure, you need to count your lucky stars and say, yes, I've got my NR Joker. I'm in the house. I love it. 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 Now, secondly, before I go, again, this is not a review, but I don't know if you can see this. Look at the weathering on this. They actually have, it's dirt. It looks like it's worn away. Oh, the detail on this figure is absolutely mind-blowingly gorgeous. So I was a little questionable about getting NR Joker. As a matter of fact, if I had not had such a high deposit that I placed at the site, I mean, it was like I think my deposit was about $200 because it was 20%, if I'm not mistaken, of the price of the figure, and it was something, ridiculous. And when I got the thing, I said, "Do I really want this?" I said, "You know what? I'm not losing $200. I will go on ahead and buy it, and if I get it and I don't like them, there are plenty of other collectors out there that would probably take it off my hands." Now that I have him, oh my gosh, you couldn't pry him away from my hands. I mean, when it's time for me to go, I might put my NR figure in the casket with me and do like the pharaohs in Egypt and take my belongings with me so I can play with them in the afterlife. Because boy, this is a great figure. It is awesome. All right, thanks a lot for listening. Now let's go back to the grotto and I will do a little wrap up. All right, fam. Well, I'm back. So what did you think? I, again, really do believe that with this terrific NR Joker figure, I think it's really a combination of things. There's a part of it that is user error. I think we need to make sure that we are posing our figures in a way that actually will help them to maintain their poses. And again, we have to realize that we're always fighting gravity. Personally, I mean, you can tell that by my belly because it's constantly dragging down to the floor. So, gravity is not our friend. Well, gravity is our friend in the sense it keeps us from flying out into space, but it is not our friend when it comes to figure collecting, because sometimes the pull of gravity, if our figures are not balanced, can actually pull it down and could cause damage to some very expensive things that we've paid our hard money on. And, we don't want that to happen. So please consider that. And in art, if you are watching this, and I hope I'm just a small, newly starting channel. I don't have all the expertise that some people might have, but I do know things like magnets. I've been working with magnets and magnetic figures probably going on 20 years, so this is not new to me. But I do think that some of the suggestions I've made could be something that could really help. It certainly will help with your reputation, because if you were providing us with something that keeps our figures stabilized so that we don't have to worry about things toppling over as much, you make a friend with your collectors. And collectors, let's take our part of the responsibility also. Sometimes we want to do a bunch of fun, crazy poses. There are limitations to working with these figures, and in particular with the magnetic figures. In art, if you want to make it such that we can do more innovative poses, you may want to consider using a ratcheted system and only using magnets for your feet, your hands, and your neck. The other joints, you might want to consider using ratchets so that it'll still be on a ball joint, but using a ratcheted system so that those areas can actually hold their poses much better. And then the collectors, of course, will have to do what we can. But remember, there are limits. When you're using a waist clamp or a crotch grabber, those are the things that are going to help fight against gravity. what we have right now is that the only thing that is keeping that figure on that stand are the feet. And that's a very small part of that body. The rest of the body is going up, and all of gravity is working on this. So if it doesn't have stable footing, eventually it's going to come down. So remember, our part of the bargain is to make sure that we're posing things carefully and safely, and making sure that we're not being real crazy with it. But if we're going to have it in our cabinets, most likely a lot of us are going to have them in a what they call the museum pose, I believe. We can make it somewhat active, but for the most part, it's going to be a museum pose. Make sure that is not leaning too far forward or too far back. If we can do those things, it will help protect our figures and make sure that they stay in good position and that we can enjoy them for a very long time. So I hope that you find this to be helpful. I hope that you have enjoyed this content, barring the lighting issues. I'm going to work this thing out. I promise you. Every week I learn something new. So I've been learning about lighting, and if there are any YouTubers out there that could offer me some suggestions on what I can do for lighting, I will welcome any input that you have. So please feel free to reach out to me and share. But for this time, I just want to say I hope you enjoyed this content. I'm pleased beyond measure with InArt Joker. I think it's going to be a great addition to my collection. I think it'll be a great one for your collections also if you've already purchased it. And I hope you enjoy yours as much as I enjoy mine. So until next time, I'm signing out. See you in the next.